is the setting too. Can't be seen, but it's not bad. At least they'll have the audio, which is the most important part. All right, so let's go with how can we do this? How can we start? We do have to look at the modules, but we can continue with engineering. So where we left off was we did the profile breakdown to the NSX, right? We're gonna have to go over it because we need to have it in one complete chapter. Why? Because that way you guys can always review everything. Give me 1 second. So just to give you guys some context, and for the new students, Ferrari just launched the F80. It is the quintessential top of the line Ferrari. Now, as some of you may or may not know, most of you know, I'm in charge of the world's most expensive, the biggest Ferrari collection that I know of. You know, that's everything is official. You know what I mean? Like, I have some really, really nice things in my collection that nobody else has. Now, with this being the flagship, right? You know, and me having a business partnership with Ferrari, being a driver for them, all kinds of things which we'll talk about in the future. I'm gonna be one of the few people that can get this vehicle for you or for one of your clients. There's only but a few of my friends, and we all kind of know each other, so we know what exotic cars are coming on the market or coming off the market. Like, we know the real market trends. Like, we really know the business because we've been in it for so long. So I'm financing my whole life, you know what I mean? And in that type of business my entire life. So this vehicle is important. As a driver, it's important because of the overall experience. I am a true prototype driver at heart. I will always be a true prototype driver at heart. And this vehicle, even though I'm retired, this vehicle is a new business venture for me. And the vehicle that I'm designing myself as an engineer, as a designer myself, which is the J Phoenix, is, to take on the best of the world. Now, I cannot manufacture in mass, capacity like most automobile manufacturers, but I can deliver probably the world's best product as far as high performance vehicles go. So we use this vehicle as a benchmark. I had a really big issue with the initial design that was released. I didn't like the design at all. Very few things I liked about the design. What they actually chose was even worse. And I have an idea of the design, of the schematics of the design, but it's so incomplete. It's missing so many components. It's like they're hiding the real car. You're not seeing the real car, is what I'm saying. Now, when you talk about the heritage of Ferrari, the F40, exceeding 200 miles an hour by 1.8 miles, because Porsche 959 was the first to do 200.8, and F40 did like 201.7 or 1.8, something like that. So it really, actually no, it did 201. It beat it by 1.7 something miles. Lamborghini Diablo comes in at 209, around there. XJ220 goes 230 something when it's just getting started, while they're fine tuning it. The car was only supposed to go 220 miles an hour. Now, shout out to Team Chevrolet because the new ZR1 is confirmed. That vehicle is 233.6 miles per hour top speed. This is a car that the base price is going to be around $180,000. This is the fastest car under $1 million. That car is worth $1 million. It is not electrified, and it is rear-wheel drive, dual clutch paddle shifters from the factory, full warranty. 1,064 horsepower or 1,094. I think it's 1,094. We're gonna double check. We're definitely gonna double check. So this is the benchmark. Now, I will say this before I get into the design aspect of it, which is what I really want to accomplish with you guys. The LaFerrari that I have in my collection, I'm not letting that car go for anything less than $16 million. The Enzo that I have in my collection, nothing less than $16 million. Why? Because the top speed of F80 is 217 miles per hour. I don't know what the top speed is for LaFerrari because LaFerrari is not really my generation. Enzo is my generation, right? Enzo did that 20 years ago with a V12 naturally aspirated, rear-wheel drive, no hybrid, no dual clutch, none of these computers, none of that stuff, pure engine. Now, if let's say LaFerrari meets the same top speed standard, because they said they're not going for the top speed race, so we get that. And the new Corvette, priced at less than $200,000, cannot perform a car that the starting price is claimed to be 3.9. That means that car is going to be around 8 or 9 million in the streets. That's going to be the markup on that car. For a car that has barely 1,200 horsepower. So 150-ish more horsepower. You know that if the Corvette comes from the factory with over 1,000 horsepower, we're going to be driving it on the streets with 2,600 horsepower all day. And that's without changing any internals. That is an excellent platform to build anything like, let's say, of a hypercar magnitude. But those are not the cars that I want to design. Those are not the cars that I want to build. Again, the benchmark is this vehicle. So now that you guys have a baseline and you understand that F80 is a tribute to the F40, the last vehicle to be commissioned by Enzo Ferrari himself. The only F40 that is the real one is the one that has the 5 vents. Only the Ferrari family got any of those F40s with the 5 vents. You know what that extra vent does for that car? That car flies, yo. That car flies. And I have one in my collection. Now, let's continue. When we talk about F40, we have to talk about 959. So I've already placed them in the simulator exactly where they need to be by comparison of the vehicle that we're going to use as a chassis, a building stone. So let's go back to the highlights of the NSX because this is the only way that you guys are going to fully understand. I've even placed each vehicle here based on every dimension of every vehicle. This is the only way that you guys are going to fully understand. All right, dimensions. So let's start first by going segment by segment. These are your finals, so Everybody hold on to your seats because we're going in. All right. Make sure everything's ready. Official test time 10:08. Okay. Make sure we have full power. Okay, perfect. All right, let me know if this sounds good, y'all. Again, it's a kickback. So we're going to deliver this a little bit smoother. You know, we're gonna think post-production, we're gonna think motion picture series, podcast, anything that's social media related that deals with content creation, because that is organic marketing. And that's gonna help you in any business or investment that you decide to invest your time in. Give me one quick second. Okay. So for our vehicle, we chose different frames, such as, let's say, the Ford Mustang, um, the last two generations for sure. Even though we use some of the older ones, definitely the architecture of the CA Corvette for sure. My favorite prototype frames for the most modern designs are based on either a Honda Accord 11th generation or the latest generation of the Toyota Camry. Those are for the super, super hypercars. Only the specialty vehicles are built with those frames. And the other chassis that I like is the 7th generation Honda Accord. And you guys will get to see why. So let's start with the NSX. We have it loaded on the simulator, and make sure you have everything on engineering, and let's rock and roll. Honda NSX, first generation. The first generation Honda NSX, new sports car, experimental, marketed in North America and Hong Kong as the Acura NSX, is a two-seater mid-engine sports car. I completely forgot that YouTube will destroy the sound. Very good call. Let's bring that back. Back to the beginning. All right, you guys ready? Let's rock and roll. Now, because we're not going to use this, we can use this as our platform. So we already have Baja opened, and that's all we need. Let's go back out. We'll go to the markets because we have not done the markets. And you know that the Asia market is about to open briefly. So we have that ready. We have that ready. Okay. So let's rock and roll. Last time. Hopefully we don't get any more interruptions. 1 second. Okay. Today's designs are amazing, by the way. Okay, we're aiming for 2 a day. 2 to 4, 6, like that. Everything in doubles. I have been working on the convertibles. I'm like on the 3rd design. I like it. The new convertible is hot. And it's going to be affordable. Okay, so here we go. Official test time for the readjustment, 13:44. Okay. The first generation Honda NSX, new sports car experimental, marketed in North America and Hong Kong as the Acura NSX. Hold up, I have an idea. Let's make a quick adjustment here. And let's carry on. Home. Now we can adjust, because this will be much, much better and more comfortable. Okay, perfect. All right. So, of course, you guys already have the blueprint to build the actual, whatchamacallit, the actual simulator. So, now let's take it from the top. 1 quick second. Okay. Um, should we start with the markets? No, we can do the markets in a different segment because let's just get through this first part. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. You guys ready? Let's go. Honda NSX, first generation. The first generation Honda NSX, new sports car experimental, marketed in North America and Hong Kong as the Acura NSX, is a two-seater mid-engine sports car that was manufactured by Honda in Japan from 1990 until 2005. Development. Around 1984, Honda engineers began experimenting with different engine and chassis layouts to test viability for future products. One of the test mules was a Honda City that had been cut in half, with the engine installed behind the driver's seat and powering the rear wheels. Although the project was not developed any further, many of the engineers were inspired by the exciting laps around the company parking lot in the mid-engine city. This experience, in part, convinced Honda leadership that the company should consider developing a pure sports car. As a result, in 1984, Honda commissioned the Italian car styling house Pininfarina to design the concept car HPX, Honda Pininfarina Experimental, which had a C20A 2.0-liter V6 engine in a mid-mounted configuration. After Honda committed to a sports car project, the company management informed the engineers working on the project that the new car would have to be as fast as anything coming from Italy and Germany. The HPX concept car evolved into a prototype known as NSX, which stood for New Sports Car Experimental. The prototype and eventual production model, which was marketed as the NSX, were designed by a team led by Honda chief designer Masahito Nakano and executive chief engineer Shigeru Uehara, who were subsequently placed in charge of the S2000 project. The original performance target for Honda's new sports car was the Ferrari 328 and later the 348. You know, let's open up a folder for 328 and let's put it in the simulator. 328 waking, and then we'll do one for 348 because 355 is already there. Ferrari 328 and GTS. Okay, that way we can, here comes a new challenger, right? First of all, we're getting to test the rig too. So let's go Ferrari 348 because actually they're coming back in price. Ferrari 348. We know the NSS is a better car, but I think that the Ferrari's fun factor is something people were not accounting for when making the actual comparison. Ferrari. I don't know why I have two different pictures here, but let's see. Oh, I see. Okay, let's put this on engineering, wide, and okay, let's go back. This one seems to be incomplete. Type F119. That's the real code. This one, okay, this one is complete. We'll use this one. All right, so let's go by wheelbase. Let's go to dimensions. We're going to start with the 328 GTB and GTS. We'll compare it to the 296. You see, it's that it's never ending. We're going to have to put the 296. Okay, so we got a new challenger. All right, so we'll go 296 because it's going to be the spiritual successor to this car. These cars are all clones. Okay, dimensions. Wheelbase, 92.5 inches. Length 167.5. Let's see, Corvette 176. 173 for NSX first gen. Please do not ask to come in. We're having finals. You cannot come in, my friend. I apologize. Come on, don't do this, man. Please have a no, please. Okay, sorry about that. Again, somebody. Um, Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't do that, man. Please have respect, man. Um, Let me see. Let's go dimensions 171.6, 171.6, 167.7, 167.5. Let's go down here. I'm going to put this in the simulator as well. Oh, man, this person right here. Don't worry, I figured out a way. You're good. Please don't mess it up for my students. Your line is not live, so we are adults. We're people from like the church. Just please have some respect. You know, you're welcome to chill. You know what I mean? You're welcome to chill, but I'm giving an exam for my students, and this is my graduating class. So please respect their hard work and effort and dedication. Okay, so 993 is 167, 167.7. F40 is 171. So let's go Ferrari, not 348. No, we gotta go back. We gotta find it. Where is it? This is 328, so 167 and length 171. 167. This is 167.7 Porsche 911. It's a clone. Okay. So 167.5. Let's compare it to 959, 167.7. So it still comes in a little bit shorter. Okay, 959, 1677, 328, 1675, and 355 is 1673. So 1675. Damn, 355 was the perfect size, yo. That's another secret to why that car handles the way it does. And we have the data points here in the simulator, so there's no discrepancies. Let me see. Oh, we have to put in 348. Let's see how close 348 is to 328 and 355. 328, let's go dimensions. Have your settings in engineering, please. Dimensions 167 even. Wow. 167 even. So what? They cut the frame? Was that the secret? Hold up. This is F40. No, F40 still 171. Let's go 959, 167.7, 167 even. 328, 167.5. They cut the frame. Maybe because the aerodynamics. We have to study the X, Y, W, and Z axis on these two frames. So that's a battle royale right there. That is a battle royale right there. Okay, now the newest challenger is the 296 because it's the only representative of the modern era of the same concept and design. 296 GT Berlinetta Wiki. Press enter. Ferrari 296. Let's go. Two-seater offered as GTB Coupe and GTS. Okay. Let's go to dimensions. Okay. 296 is 179. 179.7. So let's see where it lands on the simulator. Let's check 7th generation Corvette, 176.9. 179.7. Nope, still has to be moved up. Okay, let's see what we have next. 178.5. 179. Nope. So what did we surpass? The 992, 911. 296 at 179.7. We got 193 for the. Oh, this is wheelbase design. Okay, so we can move this out. Let's move this out. We can recalibrate that. All right, so 179.7. Let me see what's here. Nope, 183.3 for the A12 super fast. Still a Ferrari, so close. 179.7 versus 178.5. That's right there. 179.7. 183 for A12 super fast, and 184 for HSV10 GT. Okay. Equipment. Nope. 911. Okay, let's go. No wheelbase. We're going 176.9, 178.5, 176.9, 178.5, 179.7. So it's right above the 911, 992. So of course we know it's a clone, and 812 Superfast, which is 183.3, about 4 inches longer. Okay. So now we can begin because also real quick before we even fire away, hold on. Let's read real quick into 328. You know why? Because the 328 was first. So that's going to give us a lot of clues to what they were aiming for from an engineering or a performance standpoint. So the Ferrari 328 GTB and GTS Type F106 are mid-engine V8 two-seat sports cars created by Italian automobile manufacturer Ferrari. It was the successor to the Ferrari 308 GTB and GTS, while mechanically still based on the 308. Modifications were made to the body, chassis, and engine, most notably an increase in engine displacement to 3.2 liters for increased power and torque output. The 328 is still considered by some enthusiasts to be one of the most reliable and functional Ferraris. Unlike other models, much of its maintenance can be performed without lowering the engine from the vehicle. In 1989, the 328 was succeeded by the 348. GTB refers to the Gran Turismo Berlinetta Coupe fixed roof body, while GTS signifies a Gran Turismo Spider target top. The 328 numbers in the model title refer to the total cubic capacity of the engine, 3.2 liters, and 8 for the number of cylinders. The new model was introduced at the 1985 Frankfurt Salon alongside the Mondial 3.2 series. So first of all, notice how the NSX winded up having a 3.2 liter in what became its target iteration, which is NA2, going into fixed headlights over the flip-up headlights. Notice also how the 328, eventually got a 3.2 liter engine. Notice also the key factor here. Much of its maintenance, and I quote, can be performed without lowering the engine from the vehicle. So consider the fact that in 348 you had to do an engine out service to service the engine. Same thing with 355 and basically every other supercar ever since. So this was the last organic Ferrari before the computers came and changed things. Now, for the model years that it was actually released was 1986 through 1989, but the production began in 1985, so 1 year before, all the way to 1989. Now, a total production run was 7,412 units produced. As a manufacturer, for me and my family, I believe this is my capacity. This is what I think I can produce for the open market. Now, notice how there's a year of finalizing and beginning production so that it can go into full production in 1986, which gave you a 3 year model run. If I consider any pedestrian vehicle that is in the market between 4 and 6 years to be a success, for the exotics, 3 years is a phenomenal run when you're considering the fact that they're building over 300 cars a month. That's almost 100 cars a week on a good week. This is a small manufacturer. You're talking over 2,000 vehicles per year and in different variations. So let's give them props for that. So props to you, Ferrari, for that. Now, it's related to the 3.2 Mondial because they both have a similar engine architecture. And this may have begun before. So for the Honda Acura team, their perspective was we're going to make a reliable vehicle just like this because we have the technology. We're going to price it at a better price point, and we're still going to give them everything that we could possibly give them just by showing our technology, aluminum space frame and composite body construction and things like that. So they could match 3.2 liters, not with a V8 because maybe they didn't have what they needed to balance out two, basically combining two inline four engines, which they're very good at. But they were able to give you a 90-degree V8 and a 90-degree V6 and then a 60-degree V6 because now as we go more into the NSX, you will understand the connection because we know that the NSX was a left behind Ferrari prototype. It was supposed to be the Dino replacement. And it was all-wheel drive. All they changed was the front hood on it. There were two prototypes, that were running. They changed the front hood, and that's it. That's the hood that you get in the Type R with the snorkel in the NA2 version, which is the bubble body. So now, let's very quickly look into the powertrain. We already know it's reliable and it's easy to fix. So by the update in 1988 and a half, they already have sold 3,000 vehicles. Okay, let's go production. No, we need powertrain. This way we can do a fair comparison. The 328 uses the Ferrari Dino engine produced from the late 1950s to the early 2000s. It is a very similar engine design as that is used in the 308 Quattro Valvole model, which is 4 valves per cylinder. It has a naturally aspirated 3.2 liter, 3,185 cc's, 4 valve per cylinder, Quattro Valvole, transverse mounted rear mid-engine V8 layout. So basically, the engine sat sideways. That's why the NSX was the perfect competitor. We're going to give you the same thing with a V6. That's it. Even though they had to tilt the engine 5 degrees, which you guys will hear about in this breakdown. So transverse mounted like the original Lamborghini Miura, rear mid-engine, V8 layout, depot F105CB000. It has a bore and stroke of 83 millimeters, 3.3 inches, by 73.6 millimeters, 2.9 inches. The engine retained the Bosch K Jetronic fuel injection system of its predecessor. So it's an old design. It has an old brain. It produces 270 PS, 199 kilowatts, 266 horsepower, and 304 newton meters of torque, 224 pound-feet of torque. Its top speed is 166 miles per hour or 267 kilometers per hour and reaches 0 to 60, 97 kilometers per hour in 5.5 seconds and 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour in 13.0 seconds. As with the preceding 308 models, the engine was mounted in unit with the all-synchromesh 5-speed manual transmission assembly, which was below and to the rear of the engine's wet sump. The manual gear shifter was the traditional Ferrari gated design. So that's all we know about the engine. Let's go with the chassis. The 328's chassis designation is F106AS or AB, R or PB. The AS or AB difference is Spider versus Berlinetta. The R or PB difference is R equals before mid 1988 and PB after mid 1988. The main European market chassis designation is F106MS or MB100. The 328's frame is constructed of oval-shaped tubular steel, giving it race car rigidity without significant weight penalty. The body is formed largely from steel with an aluminum front hood and a fiberglass sandwich steel floor plan. The, ad, the adaptation of galvanized steel or floor pan. The adoption of galvanized steel was a key improvement from previous models, which drastically retarded corrosion. The exterior and structural design substantially reduced the car's weight compared to its predecessor. The front and rear independent suspension is based on the traditional unequal length double wishbone design. It included coil springs and hydraulic telescopic Coney shock absorbers. It featured front and rear anti-roll bars. The brakes were large vented discs with twin piston calipers actuated, as on the 308, by a hydraulic system offering security through redundancy. The anti-lock braking system was a late model addition with updated suspension geometry to further reduce squat and dive. The steering is unassisted rack and pinion, slightly quicker than its predecessor at 3.25 turns lock to lock. Now let's talk about performance. Again, let's look at the business aspect of it. Within a year, they figured out how to get the car into production. They put the car in production. Now the car is selling 2 or 3,000 units a year. What's the performance? Okay, 0 to 60 miles per hour, 5.5 seconds approximately. Top speed, 166 miles per hour, 267 kilometers per hour. For the 328 GTS, 0 to 60 comes in at 5.9 seconds. Top speed is limited to 163 miles per hour, 262 kilometers per hour. I want to make a quick note. Shout out to my boy Chad from Chevy. Congratulations on the retirement. But they used to brag that the fourth generation Corvette could be as fast with the automatic as with the standard shift. If you notice here on the Ferrari, the difference in top speed is 3 miles per hour. So that's a damn good automatic transmission. Okay. Um, GTS Turbo for 87. It's a turbocharged 2-liter. I don't know if we could even consider that because that wasn't part of the original concept. But let's continue to see what the performance, was. What I see here is these could be the little blocks that built the V8 for the whatchamacallit, for the F40, right? Um, Output again 254 PS, 187 kilowatts, 251 brake horsepower at 6,500 RPM. I wouldn't even want to use this as a benchmark, but is there a difference in performance there? No, I guess they went with the best numbers. So now you know where the NSX Genesis starts, right? So let's look into the Tipo 105 CB V8 and let's freshen up on it because we are going to go into powertrain. We're interested in the 3.2 liter version. Um, Turbocharged. Let's go from the beginning. V8, V6. Okay. Ferrari Dino engine. The Ferrari Dino engine is a line of mechanically similar V6 and V8 engines produced by Ferrari for about 40 years, from the late 1950s into the early 2000s. The idea for the engine came from Alfredo Dino Ferrari, who was the son of Enzo Ferrari. Dino suggested to Enzo Ferrari the development of a V6 engine for Formula 2 at the end of 1955. Soon afterwards, Alfredo fell gravely ill and he was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. While hospitalized, he discussed technical details about the engine with a recently hired engineer named Vittorio Giano. Dino would never lived to see the engine. He died on June 30th, 1956, at the age of 24. The Dino V6 was Ferrari's first V6 engine. The Dino V8 engine was introduced later. The latter used a flat plane crankshaft configuration. So that's a very important point. So the V8 is more of a race block. But look what we just discovered here. It's a 60-degree engine. So let's see what were the stats of this 60-degree, like the J series V6. I think this is why Honda is Ferrari and Toyota is Lamborghini. Okay, V6. The production Dino V6 began as a discussion between Vittorio Giano and Enzo and Dino Ferrari about the ideal 1.5-liter engine for use in the 1957 Formula 2 Auto Racing Series. Giano, formerly of Alfa Romeo and Lancia, pressed for a conventional 60-degree V6, but the Ferraris were open-minded. 60 degrees. And we'll use this as our benchmark because we want to get into the mentality of what was Honda Japan thinking at this particular time, right? Like what was going through their minds. Giano's 60-degree design incorporated some of his ideas from the Lancia Aurelia and were used in a number of Formula One, Formula Two, and Grand Prix cars from 1959 through the early 1960s. Appearing in 1958, it used a 77 mm by 71 mm, 3.3 inches by 2.80-inch bore and stroke for 1.984 cc's, 2-liter, and produced 200 brake horsepower, 149 kilowatts, or 203 PS in the 196S. A larger version was also produced, the 245 brake horsepower, 183 kilowatt, 248 PS, 2417 cc, 2.4 liter Dino 246S. These engines continued in the 1962 Ferrari 196 SP and 286 SP. The latter had a bore and stroke of 90 millimeters and 75 millimeters, 3.54 inches and 2.95 inches bore and stroke for 2,863 cc's or 2.9 liters and 260 PS, 191 kilowatts or 256 horsepower. Now, I am willing to bet that if we look into the specifics of 196 and 286 SP, we're going to find out a lot of reasons why they selected these motors. The V8 is pretty much pointless because the V6 is what I believe Honda understood that they could go for. That was an attainable goal. And it was still a challenge for them to demonstrate that to the world. So the true secret to the formula is to go back to 196. Let's go there real quick just for entertainment purposes. This is 62 to 63. So what? 21 years before. This is within range. Doesn't give us the dimensions, just tells us about the motor, but that's okay. It's a 2-liter V6. Okay, let's go back. Very beautiful, by the way. Matter of fact, let me download that for the computer aided design. Definitely need that. Yeah, we got to put this in the archive. We need this. Download the original. Yep. Let's see if this works. Okay, so that's complete. So let's keep going. Now, even these silhouettes are inspirational because it's going to help me understand. I knew that the roots were deep, and I really want to see if this formula Ferrari is using here goes back to the very, very beginning of their design. Because if it does, they're super geniuses. They are super duper geniuses. That's something, even myself as a designer and as an owner of a car company, that's something I don't think I would do, or I have yet to learn how to do, So very inspiring, and I humbly admire the inspiration. Now this car is just gorgeous. Just by going through it quickly, I just think about like 250 GTO. I'm like, wow, I didn't know they had other vehicles that had these silhouettes. And what an amazing silhouette this is. Very beautiful silhouette. So now I'm traveling through time. I'm actually able to see these cars in action. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the challenges aerodynamically that they were hidden in these years. This is the from the 30s to the 60s. I think that engineers of today were facing the same challenges. For example, I'm looking at the front end of this Ferrari, and I automatically thought about the Alfa Romeo 4C, which is the car I actually retired on. And I even think about F430, like as part of the Ferrari design language, to use those style of cutaways and vents. Now, let's go back and let's go to 296. No, it's 286 SP. So I believe this is the 3-liter. But let's take a look and the only reason why is, to be fair, because I have HSV 010 GT. So we just call it the HSV 10. This is the 2.9 liter. So let's go with 286. The Ferrari 286 SP was the second model to make its debut at the 1962 press conference and was similar to the 196 SP. Like the 196 SP and the revised 1962 246 SP, it had revised bodywork with a redesigned windscreen and tail to comply with new regulations. Only one example was produced, but never raced. SNN 0802 was presented to the press in February and converted into the 268 SP by May the same year. The 286 SP had no successor because The large capacity V6 was soon discarded in favor of the new Chidi design V8 engines that could deliver similar performance. Specifications: the single overhead camshaft 60-degree Dino V6 engine received a wider bore and longer stroke at 90 by 75 millimeters, 3.5 inches by 3.0 inches, respectively. The resultant total capacity was 2,862.78 cc's, 2.9 liters, 174.7 cubic inches. Those measurements did not exist on any previous Dino engine model. A compression ratio of 951 combined with 3 Weber 42 DCN carburetors helped produce a power output of 260 PS, 191 kilowatts, 256 horsepower at 6,800 RPM with a single spark plug per cylinder with a single coil that was used. So now, equally so, let's go. Oh, you know what? I just realized 248 SP is the 2.5. Oh, I see. These are the evolutions. So 268 gets the 2.6. Oh, okay. Chassis 0802 after going to 268, technical data. Engine 286. You see, 286 is still 60 degrees. 268 and 248, those are already different things. But the good thing is they come with the sheet here. So dry weight, it was only, the second gen is 10 kilograms heavier, and the third gen is 660. Okay, not bad. So basically, okay, I don't have to download those pictures because I have the actual thing here. So now we have our baseline engine, right? Let's go back very quickly. Everybody take a quick break, take a quick stretch, and we're going to continue with chapter 2. We're on time. We're getting it done. Okay, I'm proud of all of you guys. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. Now we can begin with the NSX, right? Because now we can go into the engine. I'll tell you what. Let's go on a quick break. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes, okay? I can't play any music because you know they're gonna cut it from YouTube. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna shut down the mic. Actually, I can't. Actually, on this one, I can. Oh yeah, same thing. We'll be right back. Chris, are you home? Yeah. Is the car locked? Let me use the key real quick. My class is live, but I'm taking a quick break, so just my students can hear. You know what I mean?
Bouncing it, seeing how to get that stand chase.
But it's my concept, right? It's hard, but that's all about it. Listen, right to be peace. Yeah, so la clase está en vivo, yo voy a coger un break, pero mi sesión que escuchan todo. No en serio, no en serio. Cuando yo me vaya a acostar, yo me acuerdo. Yo voy a entrar en 12 minutos. Porque no es clase, porque yo, la cabeza mía no está para oír ni a Yair ni a nadie. Ni a los jóvenes ni a nadie. Ahí tiene su problema, yo tengo lo mismo. Yo me he ido preso de ella con eso.
Okay. Confirm this nonsense. I hate when they do that. All right, so we'll be back with the next chapter.